Dr. Agar, it is great to be here with you, and I'm so happy to hear that the relationship with my mom has been very successful. Thanks for taking this time. For starters, would love it if you could just briefly introduce yourself and say your name, where you live, specialty or role, and where you're working today.
Well, thank you so much, Davi, for having me here. My name is Natalie Agar. I'm a principal investigator in the departments of neurosurgery and radiology at the Brigham and Women's Hospital at Harvard Medical School. And my career has been dedicated to developing new technologies to support the care of our patients in mostly in neurosurgery. I live around in the Boston area.
Great. Great to hear. And starting, I guess, with your life before coaching, what did life really look like before coaching?
Um, well, life was good, but I felt like I was getting maybe stuck a little too much in the small stuff of every day, and I started feeling I've been here since 2005 as a postdoctoral fellow, and then moved on as through the ranks of faculty. And then I had started to wonder if I was in the right place and maybe getting stuck a little bit too much in the small things of every day and losing my big picture. So I think my passion was maybe whittling down and I was having second thoughts or
Right.
wondering if I was in the right place.
Right. And what did that look like on a day-to-day basis when you said you're getting stuck in some of the little things, couldn't really focus as much on the big picture? What did that mean for you specifically?
Very specifically, it meant that I felt that the first thought in the morning was that, why am I not already at work? And the last thought before going to bed, why am I still not at work? I have so much to do. I have too much to do.
Yeah.
So constantly feeling I'm working nonstop, but not having the satisfaction of getting any of my work done. So it
Mm.
was pushing, pushing, and increasingly feeling dissatisfied with my performance.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe the ratio between how much effort you were putting in and then the output that you were actually getting wasn't there for you.
Absolutely, kind of spinning my wheels.
What else? Yeah. And when you talk about that big picture that fell by the wayside or didn't get as much of your focus because you were so focused on the day-to-day, what was that big picture that you ultimately did aspire to?
It's to have an impact on patient care. I came into this having a lot of compassion for patients. I hope that I can contribute to making, reducing suffering in patients, but also increasingly I have felt compassion for my colleagues who are physicians to provide them better tools to take care of patients. And I had started forgetting this. I would say it, but I felt like I was saying it maybe a little bit on autopilot and not
Yeah.
feeling it anymore.
Yeah.
So I felt pretty much on a daily basis, I started feeling defeated.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And when you talk about feeling defeated and some of the other, negative emotions that came with feeling like you were spinning your wheels, what impact did that have on you outside of work?
Um, I'm
It's
I'm
okay.
not sure yet because I
Yeah.
feel, well, maybe you know what it did is it probably had started reducing my outside of work. So so that I was never fully present, constantly just concerned with work. It seemed like if I was not thinking about work, then I was doing something wrong.
Yeah.
So I guess it was reducing my outside of work
Okay.
significantly.
Okay. In terms of presence.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that is something that a lot of physicians can relate to. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, and so kind of being so busy in the day to day, and then you hear about this coaching thing. What were your thoughts going into coaching? How did you find Dr. Gazelle? How did you find us? And I guess, you know, were you excited? Were you nervous? What were your thoughts going into this process?
A little bit of both, but I knew I needed to be able to bounce ideas with somebody who was perhaps like-minded. I had been looking for coaches, but there was nobody out there that fit what I was exactly looking for. I was not looking for just a spreadsheet on,
Time
part
management.
steps ABC. It was not exactly, I was not looking for a management term sheet or anything like this. Um, And then I received this email that I had the opportunity to do 1 hour with Dr. Gazelle. And I went into this. My goal going into this was to clearly identify essentially what I keep saying, what I wanted to do when I grow up. And then the next step was going to accept it, because I really thought I was at a point where maybe I was just staying here because that was the easiest path forward, and then I was not wanting to make the next move, and to accept what would come out of it, and to have a plan forward on being able to re-enjoy what I do and what I chose with passion.
Yeah.
So I was a little nervous because I did have clear goal within 6 months. If I figure out that that's not a job for me, that I should have the courage to get out of academic medicine.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds like you weren't looking for as much of that, really tactical spreadsheets, management tools, et cetera, but more some of that guiding intuition, getting clear on what comes next for you.
Mhm.
What has your experience actually been like in coaching? What have you gotten from your time with Dr. Gazelle, and what are your thoughts been so far?
It's been an amazing experience, and I've been probably annoying people around me talking about it so much, because it's made already, and it's still work in progress, but significant changes in helping me understand why I show up and how I show up to different parts of my work. Some of them are
Yeah.
more management, some of it is more big picture, and to try to adjust the balance of and how much and it goes for how much time I spend on certain things. So it goes from nuts and bolts of how I use my time, my energy, to the bigger picture. Um, and so for me, that's been extremely a tremendous growth experience as a person. Now I think I'm ready to start thinking about a sheet or more,
Yeah.
yeah, the next step, the planning of the next step.
Yeah. And uh, I guess what about my mom's style, or like I think a lot of times clients and even I can wonder, right? Because I'm not in the coaching sessions, what is going on in those coaching sessions that is so impactful, right? Because a lot of physicians think, okay, I'm just talking to someone, but how is that actually going to translate to my real life? And so what is going on in those coaching sessions that has been impactful for you?
Her presence. She is really engaged. She very much cares. She hears, and she's very intuitive and is able to. It's easy when if you're not seeing clearly to derail, but she's always able to bring me back to a path where every single 5 minutes I have with her is extremely constructive. So I'm always amazed after 45 minutes together, you know, how my thought and emotions actually have shifted, and I yeah, and so the connection with her compassion, uh, she's extremely sincere, and um yeah,
She's a good
she
mom.
gets she
Yeah.
gets it she gets it.
Yeah. Yeah, she's great. Uh,
Yes.
when you say she gets it, what is that? Give me a little bit more context there.
Well, so you can be, if you're struggling with certain thoughts or emotions, it's hard to explain them very clearly because I guess you're confused in the first place, right? That's why you're asking for advice. But she gets it quickly, like what is it? Where am I stuck on? And helps me, unravel it pretty quickly, and understanding, why I might show up to a certain challenge, in the way that I do,
Yeah.
and allow me to accept it, not necessarily change it, but just accepting it, and appreciating why it's there, and how do I use it forward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You recently signed on for kind of additional coaching with my mom. So moving past that original engagement,
Hmm.
what was your thought process there? Why did you think that, continuing to work with her was the right choice?
It really was a no-brainer, no pun intended, coming from neurosurgery.
I was
Uh,
like,
but um In fact, as we were going through our sessions, I reached a point where I thought, what am I going to do when I don't have Dr. Gazelle to work with and to, bounce ideas back and forth with, and then I brought it up and she said, oh, don't worry, many of my clients continue to
Yeah,
work with me over time. And then I realized, what it made me realize is that I think academic medicine is meant as, it's very individualistic in a certain way. And now what I've come to understand is, to really do this well, is you have to think about yourself almost as a product, and needing a team around it, so that you can move through this big enterprise in a more constructive and efficient manner.
yeah,
So it also made me feel now that I I have a team. Of course, I have a team, but I'm largely responsible for my team. As now I have a partner that who helps me, you know, um, yeah, move forward. So I'm excited to continue working with her and
wow,
have her as a partner in that enterprise.
yeah.
Yeah.
And my last question for today is, I think a lot of, successful researchers, successful physicians are used to bearing the brunt by themselves,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're used to doing everything by themselves, being the captain of the ship, having all the answers. And for you, it sounds like inviting Dr. Gazelle to be on your team and having a partner in all of this has really been game changing. And so, what would you say to that physician who's watching, to that leader who's watching, that researcher who's watching, who maybe wants to just do things by themselves and thinks that that's the right way to do things, is to just keep powering through?
It's heavy to try to do this by yourself. And I think that it still does not remove the fact that at the end of the day, I am the principal investigator, right? The creative part and all of that is still my product, but I can't be the expert at everything, and having a sounding board to make very important decision. I think it's important. I don't think you would have anybody who wants to have an impact that makes all of their decisions without a sounding board. In fact, I would argue that maybe we should have more than one sounding board, even to have different, opinion. But thinking about your emotional intelligence in the way that Dr. Gazelle approaches it, I think is critical. Like, I think we definitely get deep expertise in our field of knowledge, and in many other aspects, be administrative and so on. But I do think there's a lack of education on developing emotional intelligence. And I think that's very much what Dr. Gazelle is an expert at. And I think once you have that, everything becomes so much more clear. It's easy to get stuck in emotions.
Yeah. And for someone watching that, maybe, I guess, why is that emotional intelligence so important? Because every physician, every leader has different kind of viewpoints on their own thoughts, their own emotions, etc. For a leader or someone watching who might be more focused on that concrete, that management, that public speaking, etc., how do emotions play, such a crucial role in leadership?
uh, I think they might clutter some of our vision at times. It's easy to get stuck in your thoughts and emotions. It brings a very different perspective if you're able to step back from your emotions and to see the situation with a different perspective. Then I think that probably can, I mean, I think it makes you a much more efficient leader. The idea for me in leadership is to make sure that I support everybody on my team in the best possible way they can. Well, it's hard to do if I'm stuck in my own thoughts. I
Right.
don't think I'm expressing this really well right now, but
Yeah, I mean, I think
I think my emotions can clutter my creativity, my way of handling situations, difficult situations. Um, yeah.
I think we can come up with stories about our own capabilities and the situations that are going on around us. And maybe what you're talking about is piercing through those stories and getting to new
What
perspective.
matters.
Yeah, what matters and being able to see things in a way where we can actually really move forward.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'd want to say the other thing that's helped me tremendously, in addition to all of my conversations and discussions with Dr. Gazeller, is all of the material that the two of you and others have put together. I can't say enough on I'm enjoying the books, the different books from Dr. Gazelle, the online classes. When I drive, I put them on and I listen to them. And she also makes reference to others in the field. So I started even reading about those. So it also gave me something to anchor into and then to start, a little bit of my own journey. So I'm not just dependent on her. So you have to do it. You have to put in the effort essentially, but the tools are there. So I'm very grateful for that.
Thank you.
Thank,
Thank you. Yeah. Well, Natalie, we're very proud of your progress. Really excited to keep supporting you. And thanks so much for the time today.
thank you.